Hello there, I'm Sandy Allnock. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I am an artist, but today I want to talk about an art truth, something that I found myself thinking about a lot as I was going through the last month of painting my phenology wheel, which I'll show you in this video. And it's a little thing, just a very small thing, that I think if we could teach this to kids when they're young and they're learning how to draw, if we could teach it to them then, I think they would have much greater success throughout their art career. And I want to see if you agree with me. I've spent countless hours with kids over the years teaching some basics of art, not in a formal setting, but often I'll get invited to a homeschool group, or I'll visit with some friends and take my art supplies with me, or go babysit some kids. And I love just getting them interested in learning something about art, teaching them something basic. And I'll teach them how to make a sphere look like it's round. Kind of even look at something real so they can start seeing highlights and shadows. They get so excited. And then we turn it into a sunshine. Very simple thing. We've seen sunshines like this throughout our whole lives. It's just very common iconography. And we think of a sun and we think yellow sun. Like that's just what we consider a sun. My logo is actually kind of sunny looking. The top one is my personal logo, and that one has marker chisel nibs around the hexagon shape. The bottom one has brushes, and that one's for my teaching site. But I digress. A real sun, an actual sun, is not yellow. A real sun is white. And in a landscape, it's going to be your one white thing. Now, that doesn't mean you can't leave negative open space, leaving your whites in order to have some brights in your painting, if you're painting a landscape. But your whitest thing really has to be in some way that sun, even if you have to put a really slight haze over everything else to make that sun pop. And the sun is going to cast highlights and shadows on all the things around it, including the clouds, depending on whether the sun is below or above them, etc. Well, I wanted to paint skies for my phenology study for February. And I'll link you to a couple other phenology videos, and I'll show you my wheel in a few minutes. But I started taking pictures out my window and looking at the skies, looking at the clouds and the sun. And it worked out sometimes and other times not. You'll see a whole lot of pictures here with looking through that one scraggly tree. But I found that there were certain times of the morning that I got more interesting things to paint. And there were some days it was completely socked in, foggy, cloudy, and that was kind of boring. And then some of the other times it was just like, okay, look, there's a gradation. I can do a gradation. And so I would add a tree branch or something in there to make it more exciting. But a lot of my days looked like this because it's February. We had a lot of snow, and toward the end of the month it warmed up and we got more rain. And yeah, it was just, which gray is it going to be today? And I eventually started going out in my PJs with my coat on and in my slippers and walking down the street trying to find anything interesting to add to my little tiny painting. One time I found an airplane flying over. Yay. And then one of the rainy days got some really interesting clouds. I gave myself a window on either side of the actual set time of sunrise that I would get from my app on my phone. And the time before sunrise was most often more interesting. It's called civil twilight, and it happens both at sunset and sunrise when the sun is below the horizon, between 0 and 6 degrees. Now, I can't measure that because, I'm just sitting here on Earth. But when the sun hasn't yet come up or after it goes down is often when you'll get the most interesting cloud highlights. And I was treated to just a couple of spectacular ones that I was so excited to see. And those were during civil twilight. I chose to do these dawn skies for February so that I wouldn't have to get up at the crack of 3:30 in the morning or something to catch civil twilight. So there's my February whale painted in gouache. And notice none of my suns are yellow. My suns are white. And I wrote down the sunset, sunrise times, the temperature each day. I put some snowflakes in there for the days that we got snow. And I wrote down the times that each one of those skies was captured. So that is February. So I'll be doing some birds for March. But I wanted to show you that I also have done yellow suns. And I didn't think of anything wrong with it at the time. It just never occurred to me that the sun would be white. And here I have a white background. How would you put a sun on a white background? You put a yellow sun in there. And it's perfectly fine for things that are cartoony. Absolutely. But if you are making something where you can put color around that sun and make the sun white, it's just going to feel more realistic. So what would we teach to a child? How could we get this concept in their head that the thing is white? Well, just teach them how to draw around the thing. And why is this important for a child to learn? Because this is called negative drawing. Or if you're painting with it, it would be called negative painting. That's when you're drawing the value, the color, the hue around the object rather than the object itself. So that you're reserving those whites. You're reserving that white sun. And you can do that here with, I'm doing it with simple crayons, not getting much pigment on the paper, but just going round and round in circles to get a sort of faded out sun. Now I'm going to put some water down below mine and a bit of reflection across it with one white highlight for the sun and the rest of it just kind of some sprinkled yellow light. You could teach a kid real easily how to do this and get the idea in their heads when they're young and find it easier to absorb weird concepts. Because I can't tell you, I don't know how to explain negative drawing and negative painting to adults when there's just this resistance to it because we haven't been prepared as kids. And, our early drawings, we just don't do negative drawing. We don't do it well. Our brains aren't wired that way to think about the thing that is not the thing. And I think this exercise, this little simple thing of trying to make realistic pictures with the sun being white might really help embed something into the kids when they're little so that by the time they get to be an adult, they're not afraid of negative drawing. Because every time I label one of my lessons in one of my classes that this one is going to be covering negative painting or negative drawing, I just get people that are just like skipping that lesson. It freaks them out. And I don't want people to be freaked out. So I think if we teach kids when they're little that the sun is white and you can color the sky around the sun, then I think that would be good. So tell me in a comment, if you had learned negative drawing as a child, something as simple as this, do you think you'd be less afraid of it now as an adult? I kind of think that is possibly true, so let me know if you agree with me. My next video is going to be a gouache painting, also of a sun. If you'd like to catch that one, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and that you've clicked the arrow that allows you to select all 4 videos you want to be notified for. So I will see you with that video, and in the meantime, get out there and create something every day.